We got to air it out. Let's air it out. So we got to air it out. Let's air it out. So
how you said it? Air it out. Air it out.
Air it out. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Air It Out podcast. It's been a while since we've been on here. Forgive us. Listen, COVID is real, y'all, okay? I had COVID, and it sucked. It was absolutely the worst thing I've ever been through. I felt like I got hit by a truck multiple times. It was not fun at all. So I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So yeah, COVID sucks, and there's that. So anyway, we are back, and I'm joined again. We're a little short-handed, some people got some things going on in life, all those different things. But I've got the one and only in the building, so it's a good day for me. Juan, say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? And dude, I'm kind of like feeling like COVID. Luckily I haven't caught it yet, but I was kind of close when I was out in Vegas for the draft. I came back with a very nasty head cold. Luckily, I tested negative twice for it. So I've been kind of dealing with that, plus allergies. And also the fact that, in freaking Milwaukee weather freaking changed again. Where it went from 30 on a Thursday to 65 and muggy on a Friday. And I'm switching between sweaters and t-shirts nearly every day. It's not fair.
Listen, man, we have to deal with that in New Jersey as well. We have that season where it's just like in the morning, you're bundled up, okay? By 3 p.m., you're like, oh, I need to be in a t-shirt. And by 7 p.m., you're like, where did I put my coat? My heavy coat. So yeah, I mean, we have that season as well. Hopefully the weather has broken completely this time, and we're going to see some 70s from here on out, and we're going to see some stuff warming up, because I am tired of the cold. I'm absolutely tired of it. I want warmth. I want heat. I want to feel good.
It's on that end. Okay. I actually prefer the cold. I prefer being bulky with sweat, with hoodies and long stuff, because not only do like the hoodies hide the fatness that I got going on, but also all the freaking bugs are dead in the winter, so that I can appreciate.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll give you the bugs. But no, that's probably it for me. I can't stand being cold. It makes me angry. It makes me want to fight. Okay, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's not fun. It's not fun. I can always put on, like I can always, for me, I always look at it from this standpoint. I'd rather be hot than cold, because at least when I'm hot, I'm still flexible. You know what I'm saying? When I get cold, I feel like everything hurts. Everything. Any movement hurts. It stinks. You go and scrape your knee in the winter and tell me how you feel, as opposed to when you scrape your knee in the summer.
See, it's different because like like I said, I'm an overweight person. So like you've never felt the discomfort of sweating as an overweight person when you got like
what
coming down on you.
Listen, first of all, I'm no slim chicken, okay? I'm overweight myself, okay? So let's just call it what it is. That's the first thing. So I understand the sweating. I don't mind sweating. I don't really care, because I typically I don't know. I smell good, number one. Number two, I'm not worried about all that. I don't like being cold. Being cold just frustrates me. It limits my thinking, all of those different things. Anyway, this is not a hot and cold podcast. This is the Air It Out podcast. So we got to talk about some football. And speaking of football, there's this guy who is notorious for playing in an AFC championship game with potentially quote unquote deflated footballs. This said guy has secured another bag, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I'm talking about, Thomas Brady secures another bag. He has agreed to that whenever he decides to retire, whenever, who knows when if he's 50, 60, 87, But whenever Tom Brady decides to retire, he will now be the lead football analyst for Fox Sports. And he's the deal is worth 300. Yes, you heard me correctly. $375 million. $375 million, I believe, if I'm correct, over 10 years. But $375 million. What? That is absolutely, you know what? You can't hate Tom Brady. Like, there's no way you can hate Tom Brady anymore. Like, the dude he wins at everything. He won at football. He won in Super Bowls. He won at retirement. He did. He won at retirement. He's like, 3 weeks. Now I'm taking it back. He won at even post-retirement, and he's not even retired. He won, some would say, when it comes in life with his wife being a Victoria's Secret supermodel, and his kid, like, he just wins. The guy is a winner. He's a winner. You can't hate this man. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna win. I'm just gonna win. And he wins on social media. His social media is funny. I hate to say it, but I'm a fan of Tom Brady's social media. It's hilarious. Juan, what are your thoughts? Thomas Brady has secured another.
So prior to the Brady deal, I know that Amazon had guaranteed contracts for Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. It was like around $20 to $24 million a year on their contract. Tom Brady is getting $37.5 million a year over the next 10 years when he retires from Fox Sports. He just blew the contract talks out of the water. Now,
just to talk about football, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just letting y'all know that.
I recognize that Tom Brady is legitimately the greatest of all time in terms of being a football player. I will recognize that now and forever. He has proven it over and over and over again to the point where it is undeniable. However, there have been GOATs of the sport that have tried to make the transition into broadcasting that never really worked out. Two of the best examples were both teammates, actually. It was Joe Montana and Jerry Rice. Neither one of them fit in the booth, right? It's a completely different mindset of what it actually is to be on the field, all right? And Tom Brady, with all due respect to Tom Brady, his social media is funny and all, but how much of it is Tom Brady's personality versus a social media team putting together a script for him to follow to the letter to make him seem like he's funny?
I don't care. It's funny.
But is there, like, to succeed in the booth, you have to be entertaining, engaging, witty on the spot.
Have you
I
seen
don't know
him?
if Tom Brady is any of that.
Have you seen him on any of Peyton's places, like on Peyton's broadcasts?
That's scripted. That is scripted, though.
It's not. Well, Peyton's places maybe, but those broadcasts, when they're going back and forth, the banter on the golf course with him and Tom, him and Aaron Rodgers, him and Peyton, that's all Tom. That's him being witty.
But that's just an engaging moment with other football players. Not talking about football, just talking about life and stuff. When it comes to like being having gone to broadcasting school, I know that to be a good color commentator, you have to be able not only to gel with your talent in the play-by-play, but you also have to be able to educate the audience in a way that makes them feel like they're actually learning something while watching the game. All right, that's the key to it. I don't know if Tom Brady has that in him. All right, I've never I'm not saying that he can't do it, because like the man is the definition of a workaholic when it comes to everything in his life. So I'm pretty sure maybe if he puts the work in and he studies like the greats, like in my personal opinion, the greatest broadcaster of all time, Gus Johnson, just a stunning play-by-play announcer, as well as Tony Romo with his color commentating and how he's able to predict plays. If he can study like guys like that and put in like 25% of the effort that he puts into his football career, he'll do great. But jury's out right now.
The thing about it is, I don't see Tom Brady giving half effort in anything in his life. I mean, from his diet to his play on the field to his practice habits to his relationship to with his wife and his kids to what he does, in the off season with his body, with to all of those different things. I just can't see Tom Brady turning that switch off and saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna go into this one here, and I'm only gonna give it 30%. 30%. Like I think he's gonna go 100%. It'll be interesting to see. Like you said, the jury is still out. We don't know how he's going to be, but I mean, I'm just like I said, based on what I've seen on social media, different things like that, and the fact that we're just seeing a more fun-loving Tom Brady since he's been in Tampa. I just think we're going to see a different, even version of him in the booth. And as far as teaching the game, I mean, he's obviously going to bring something to that booth that we've probably never seen before. Because there's no defense he's probably ever, there's no defense you can throw that he hasn't seen at this point. So I can't wait to see what that's going to look like. The X's and O's, that right there is going to be phenomenal. That's the football nerd in me. But yeah, you are right. It's going to take some work. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. I can't wait for it. I just can't wait to see what the banter is going to look like. I mean, because there's no trash talk that you can have with Tom Brady when it comes to accolades and stuff like that. Like you can't go up against him when it comes from like a you versus Tom situation. You can't say, okay, Tom versus, me in this area, because Tom blows you out the water. It's just like he's got the trophies, he's got the rings, he's got the money, he's got the wife, he's got the kids, he's got the house, so that's gonna be fun if somebody ever tries to poke fun at Tom in that regard. Like, what are his comebacks? What are his comebacks gonna be? Because Tom is a pretty good. He can throw a little good dart or two.
I will say, like, I think the other part of his contract, from what I can tell, is that he's also going to be kind of like a figurehead for Fox Sports with regards to like showing up to events and hanging out in like certain like parties and stuff, representing Fox Sports. So maybe he won't be a full-time broadcaster. Maybe he's mostly going to be like, hey, you might have these guys. We got Tom Brady. Hang out with Tom Brady, talk to Tom Brady, all that kind of stuff, And it could be like his way in to learning about how the TV business works, how teams buy their broadcasting contracts. Little bits of him finding a way to maybe potentially an NFL team. Exactly.
Yep. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, that Tom. Again, $375 million. I mean, over the course of his career, I'm pretty sure if you add up all his contracts, just his contracts, not even endorsements, but just his contracts, I'm pretty sure he's over the $400 million mark at this point.
Actually, this contract, the TV contract, is worth more than all his career earnings as a football player.
Really? Wow. Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. But let's say it's $250 million over the course of his career. Okay. Add that in with the 375, we're at, about 500 million and some change, maybe 6. And then you bring in some of those endorsements, which I'm pretty sure, are some pretty hefty tens of $1 million in deals and endorsements. He might have a nice little leg to stand on to, plus any investments that he has and, non-liquid assets that he could probably use to, any other businesses, right? TB12 and different things. Like he probably could end up owning a team by the end of this contract. And, it'll definitely be interesting to see. It's like the guy has like special abilities or like just an enhanced life and experience and an enhanced ability to do things. Speaking of enhancements, DeAndre Hopkins has been suspended from the end. You like how I did that? You like?
That was good. Oh my God, you did him so dirty.
Yeah, man. DeAndre Hopkins has been suspended from the NFL next season for 4 games, 6 games,
6.
6 games for PED use. Okay, for those who don't know, that's performance enhancing drugs, aka steroids. Well, but listen, basically, that's what people think of when they hear PEDs, and he's been suspended. Now, DeAndre Hopkins has come out and stated that he has no clue how this happened. He said he takes a fully holistic approach to his diet and different things like that. So he said he's not sure what happened. He then appealed, but rescinded the appeal for the suspension. And so I'm wondering how much of this is like, okay, did I just take something by accident and I didn't know? Did I knowingly take something and thought, oh, I can skate through? Like, what happened in this regard? Now, keep in mind he had an injury-riddled season last year, and he is in fact getting older. And so this is not outside the realm of, I guess, thought or anything like that. We've seen other receivers do this. We've seen people who are either getting older or having injuries or different things like that, or their production just starts to slip. They may have, and if you're sitting there saying, okay, I'll take 6 games for this, it's 6 games. Now, I don't know what the thought is behind this, and I don't know if any of this is true. It could be, an accident. But Juan, what are your thoughts on, again, we're talking about arguably the greatest receiver of our generation in the opinion of some, easily one of the top 5 receivers of this generation, of this time, potentially a top 5 wide receiver all time when it's all said and done, when his career is over. What are your thoughts about this? Does this tarnish his legacy? Does this tarnish what he's done? Like, what do you feel about this?
So knowing what I know about DeAndre Hopkins with regards to how he takes care of his body and his intake, because like I know he was one of the many players who refused to take the vaccine when COVID was first starting to get like really big in the NFL. He would not put anything in his body that he would think would like alter him in any way that would be illegal or otherwise. So I kind of trust him in this regard. Like he knows. Like he knows how to take care of himself, and he's been one of the more clean players in the NFL in terms of like, his work ethic, his maturity, and his overall development. I saw one rumor. It was proven fake, but I saw his one rumor that said that what he had taken was a beaver tranquilizer, which makes no sense, no sense whatsoever. But I thought I'd quickly mention that. But even so, DeAndre, I know, is like a man of his word. I know that he wouldn't do anything to tarnish the game, and because he treats the game fairly. All right, so I take him at his word that he didn't know that. I don't think he knew what was being put in there. I think his trainer is to blame, or whoever it was that assigned him the cocktail of like vitamins and nutrients that did it. I think that maybe this trainer like didn't know what was on the ban list and just slipped something in without meaning to. I think it's just kind of like that. Even still, this leaves a big hole in the receiving core for the Arizona Cardinals going forward, and that is pretty alarming, especially given that this is going to be like a make or break year for the Cardinals, especially for Kyler Murray. All right, because we all know the drama with Kyler Murray and his contract and how he sees himself in the future for the Cardinals versus like how he's been performing over the last 3 years. There's that. Even though they traded for Hollywood Brown in the draft, they got a first round. They sent away the first round pick for him. I don't know if Marquise Brown can necessarily fill in the gap for the production that DeAndre Hopkins gives this team. Granted, he was injured last year, only 8 touchdowns and just shy of 600 yards. Receiving in 10 games.
6 games.
In 10 games.
It was okay. No, that's what. Yeah, 10 games.
Yeah.
10 games, 600 yards. Yeah.
So either way, to try to replace the general production that DeAndre Hopkins can produce with just Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk, Zach Ertz, and Trey McBride, along with Marquise Brown, it's a tall order to fill. I'd have to say. So some of the free agency options that the Cardinals can pursue to at least try to get more bodies on the field to try to even get a hint of replication of the production that DeAndre Hopkins provide. You got Jarvis Landry still in the wings, Julio Jones, although he might be going to the Colts. possibly to reunite with Matt Ryan. Emmanuel Sanders is still out there, shifty receiver, especially in the slot. T.Y. Hilton still pretty good despite his injury history, and a former teammate of DeAndre Hopkins still on the market, who also was in PED trouble way back when. Will Fuller, who was last with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, very true. Very, 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 very true. I just don't know. Honestly, I don't see a Will Fuller coming in. I could see more of an Odell potentially, Julio, more of a big body receiver. Um,
It's
if
astounding how many
anything,
agents are still out there, man.
absolutely, absolutely. I just feel like Will Fuller's time is dwindling short. I think he needs to find a team where he's going to be the speedster and just kind of stick to that. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if he lands anywhere because he still hasn't landed anywhere just yet. So, um, there's that. Now, with that being said, um, I I'm torn. I'm torn with this, man. Um, I feel like looking like Commanders fan. Anywho, what's up, Mr. CEO?
Contrasting colors today. I'm blue. You're red.
We just, we doing our thing. But I'm like, if this is true, I don't know. For me, I'm one of those people who like, if you took them this time, you took them before. Like, I wonder if you've taken them before and just haven't gotten caught. So then it makes me wonder. It's like, all right, was that production that we saw because of your PED use? Like that's why I don't like when players take PEDs because it brings up way too many questions for me, and I don't want to. I don't know. I want to do this. Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Flag on the play. I don't know what the flag is for. Red, white, and blue. We got a gang war going on. Bruh. We're gonna stay away from that one. Anywho, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. And if that, like I said, if that's the case, if he did knowingly take it, it's like just own up and fess to it. That's my whole thing. Like if you did, but I don't think that I agree with you. I think DeAndre Hopkins didn't knowingly take this. I think he's one of those players who, again, is very holistic. He's been that way and been vocal about it his entire career about how he takes care of his body. So for this to have happened, I honestly think the NFL should have looked into this and looked at his history and his record a little bit more and kind of how he's very, very serious about what he puts in his body. So I think the NFL probably should have done like a little bit further of an investigation. In this case, it's hard though because you don't want to do that because now it's like preferential treatment. So now it's like, okay, if you're doing it for him, you got to do it for everybody. So I get it. The standard is if you get caught, 6 games. So it is what it is. But wish him nothing but the best. Hope he gets healthy and he's good to go. Speaking of AJ Brown, since Chris wants to bring him up, we didn't get to touch the draft or anything like that because again, well, I had COVID last week. So I want to talk to you guys about the draft today. Juan, I want to know what your favorite draft moves were. The draft 2 weeks ago to the day was absolutely phenomenal. If I do say so myself, the Jets had a phenomenal draft. Okay. You guys had a phenomenal draft. I do want to point that out. You guys did phenomenal, in my opinion. What are your thoughts? What were your favorite draft moves from last week? You're muted, sir. You're on mute, sir. You are still muted.
Sorry. Yeah, I could talk all day about the draft moves that the Jets made and the players that they got. Sauce Gardner, friggin' Garrett Wilson at 10. Oh, then jumping back to get Jermaine Johnson and Brees Hall and Jeremy Rookie. Like, oh my goodness, I could go all day about it, but I'm not because I'm not going to be a homer. Unlike, certain Ravens fans out there who choose to be homers. Hashtag coach, where are you? Just kidding. Love you, coach. Anyway, I'm actually my favorite draft move was actually one that didn't take place during the entire draft. My favorite move was actually a UDFA signing by the Kansas City Chiefs. So it was about like 2 days after the draft had concluded. Everyone was signing like all their undrafted free agents to like their futures contract and everything. One of those by the Chiefs stood out to me, and it's former Clemson wide receiver Justin Ross. Now, for those who are huge into like the college scene, you might know that name. That's pretty familiar. Back in 2018, he was deemed a first-round prospect as a freshman for the Clemson Tigers, and he was on a roster that featured T. Higgins, Amari Rodgers, and Hunter Renfrow. Pretty good wide receivers in the NFL right now. His freshman year alone, 46 catches, 1,000 yards, and 9 touchdowns. In the title game against Alabama, he had 6 catches, 153 yards, and a touchdown in what turned out to be a blowout win for the Clemson Tigers. He was phenomenal. A lot of people thought he was going to be building up from there and possibly becoming a high first-round prospect. But then during a typical spring training camp, Ross gets hit and he gets something that he thought was a stinger because his shoulder goes numb for a bit. So he thinks nothing of it, but then his team sends him to the doctor. The doctor examines him, and they find that he has a congenital fusion condition of his neck and spine. That means that the bones in his neck and spine are fused together, and it is a condition he's had since birth, but was never detected until that moment. Now, not only did that require surgery, but doctors have said that no football player has ever been recorded with this injury before. So there was no precedent to see what could happen if the surgery was successful, if he could even step back on the football field again. There was a slight possibility he was not even going to walk if the surgery went wrong. Right? So he opted out for the next year, came back in 2021, looked like he was poised to break out, only to catch COVID near the middle of the season, causing him to lose 15 pounds of muscle as a result. And then he also broke his foot. Not ideal for someone looking to try to make it into the NFL. So with the Kansas City Chiefs having lost Tyreek Hill in desperate need of a wide receiver, they did draft a one or two of them, but this signing of Justin Ross could prove to be a very under the radar signing if he's healthy enough to play. He's a tremendous talent. He's long, he's fast, good hands. I'm excited to see what Justin Ross can do in the NFL if he's fully healthy.
I like it. I'm not mad at that at all. Yeah, that's definitely going to be something interesting. It would be an amazing success story if he is able to bounce back and get himself into the rotation in that Chiefs receiving core. So that is absolutely, and so shout out to him. For me, my favorite draft move, I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm gonna talk about two of the teams that are typically represented here on our podcast, and that's the Eagles and the Ravens. I love what the Ravens did, staying at where they did and drafting who they did in the first round. Kyle Hamilton was like born to be a Raven. All seriousness, I like the Falcons draft. Reddit to ATL is a good landing spot for him. They got some pass rushers. Not a big fan of Drake London, but I get why. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, I like I said, I really absolutely love Kyle Hamilton to the Raiders. I wanted Kyle Hamilton, but him to the Ravens it makes so much sense. It just makes so much sense.
It's such a Ravens move too.
It really is. It really is. And he can plug in right now and play. Like he's that good. His IQ is that high. I absolutely love it. Breaking news: the schedule is being released tonight. Oh yeah. So far we got Rams versus Bills to kick the season off. Bucks versus Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Broncos Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Man, that's gonna be great. But anywho, yeah. So I love what the Ravens did. Howie Roseman masterclass. Never thought I would say that about him in drafting. And then the second thing, like I said, just talking about the Eagles. The Eagles. Oh my goodness, man! You talk about draft moves. I'm just talking about just from just a draft holistically. The
stole
Eagles.
Jordan. They stole
Yeah,
Jordan.
that's not like Jordan Davis falling to the Eagles. Like, oh my goodness, the Eagles got what I think is just a potential dog. Like he literally could be the next Fletcher Cox type player. Like he's that good. And so like I mean, you're talking about a guy who'd be a staple in the middle of that defense for 10 to 15 years. Absolutely phenomenal guy. And then AJ Brown. Oh my goodness. AJ Brown. Goodness gracious. And then yes, and then Kobe, like the Eagles they were making some moves, man. Like and I love the fact that they got Nakobe Dean so late. And the fact that he's going to be behind his classmate. Like that's awesome. Like, and it's like again, he doesn't have to do much now. Now you just got to fill. Also didn't waste a pick and got Carson Strong. So I think that's awesome. Like again, we've seen guys like Haloti Nada do that for Ray Lewis, where you're just a big guy in the middle. Now all I got to do is just fill the holes and do what I got to do.
Exactly.
You know, we've seen Logan.
Ryan.
Yes, Logan Ryan. In goodness gracious, I'm gapping these daggone team names, and names in general. As a matter of fact, no. How about this? Let's go to the Buccaneers and
Sue and Devin White.
Devin White, but also the other D tackle. Oh God. Man, it's not coming.
Vita Vea.
Yes, Vita Vea, right? Like it just allows guys to just flow and just like do it. Jordan Davis, listen, man, goodness gracious. I don't know how like the Eagles just did a phenomenal job this round. How he absolutely saved his job for like at least another 3 to 5 years. Like he was in his bag this go around. Like this was Vita Vea. He was in his bag this go around. So I think we got to stop the fire Howie hashtag just for like a little bit. Like I think it's got to stop just for at least this season. I don't think we can pull it out. And with that being said, you know what? I think I'm gonna throw it in there one more time just to get it out before the season happens. Okay, we're gonna get it out there.
We're firing it into the sun.
That's the last time you're gonna see that for a while because he did his thing this draft. Absolutely phenomenal. All right, so now I want to know outside of that, who and actually, you know, let me touch on Chris's comments about the Falcons draft. Initially, when I was watching this draft, I hated it. I absolutely was hating this draft. Like when we drafted a receiver that high, I was like, oh my goodness, what are we doing? I just felt like one, Jordan Davis was still on the board, I believe. Two, I felt like Reed Blankenship is also, yes, very, very, very underrated pick, Chris. Yes. I'm not saying fire Howie, but I'm not saying fire Howie anymore. All right, listen, I'm gonna let you guys have it. But yes, I was not a huge fan of that. I felt like if we didn't take Jordan Davis, I would have loved to have Kyle Hamilton. And if we couldn't get one of those two players, maybe Sauce Gardner, but obviously Sauce was going by then. And the thing about that is, like, if we couldn't get one of those three guys, trade back. You got the 8 overall pick, trade back, stockpile some picks. There's so many other holes on our team. Because I'm like, all right, we get Drake London, but who's throwing him the ball at the time? Obviously, it was, Marcus Mariota. And again, I don't know enough. I got to see Marcus Mariota do some stuff. So I just felt like we had so many more things, so many more holes. Offensive line, pass rush, like.
To offer like a little bit of hope for you, like Mariota did play in the Arthur Smith offense in Tennessee, so he knows the system really well.
Absolutely.
Whether it's like executable, that remains to be seen.
Absolutely. And I think Ritter has a chip on his shoulder. So I think that's going to be a good thing for us moving forward if he puts his head into the books and just really gets after it and is just willing to learn. I think that he could potentially be something that is special. But we're going to have, it remains to be seen. To me, I just felt like, I don't know. Again, I would have loved to have stockpiled some picks and tanked again this year for Bryce Young. That's just my personal opinion. But anyway.
If everyone's being homers now, so I might as well talk about my picks. Oh my goodness, this might have been the greatest draft execution that the Jets have had in a long time. All right, I said it when
Rob is out here snapping, man. He's learning.
I said it when Joe Douglas was hired. I'll say it again. There is finally a grown man in the building. There is a grown up at one Jet stride, making grown up decisions, making grown up moves. All right, and Robert Saleh being the leader of men, seeing every single phone call with these draft picks. When he's on the phone with Sauce Gardner saying, Sauce! Hey, no, Detroit kids, man. We're coming to New York. We're going to be doing you right, man. And then getting him at 4. Number one, I didn't see it coming. I was stunned that they got Sauce Gardner at 4. I would have thought it would have been Jermaine Johnson at 4. More on that in a bit. But then they moved down to 10. And I'm thinking, okay, they might go receiver.
We're not going through all the picks now, Juan. This is not a Jets podcast, okay? We're not going through all
the picks. I'm only going to the first round ones because those are the best ones, and also the second round one that I'll hit in a bit. Then they get Garrett Wilson, probably the best wide receiver at Ohio State that year. Debatable with Chris Olave there, but not going to debate neither here. So they get a top wide receiver and a top corner in the top 10. And you think they're done. I thought they were done. I walked out of the draft area because it was so hot and my legs were hurting so much from standing. I went to a bar real quick to sit down. And I sit down, I see the TV, Jets trade to 26. I'm like, no.
To sit down.
They did not. They didn't. No, don't you do that. and I'm watching on TV, the Jets traded up, and I'm like, no, they did not. 26? Who are they taking here? And I see that Jermaine Johnson, probably one of the better pass rushers in this draft, still on the board. And they take him. And it blows my mind. 3 number 1 prospects in the first round. I didn't know what to think. And then picking up Bryce Hall in the second round, probably the best running back and probably one of the better college football running backs of the last year. My mind was blown. I did nothing but watch Jets draft grade videos and Jets this and Jets that videos all week since. Man, it has never felt so great to be a Jets fan.
I'm going to be honest, man. You guys had a great draft. I hope it worked out for you because on paper, all of it looks phenomenal. Obviously, we got to see these guys pan out. But for me, from what I've seen, at the very least, I believe Sauce is going to be an absolute, he's going to be the real deal. He's going to be the real deal.
Richard Sherman's what got me.
Yeah. To me, I don't see Richard Sherman because he doesn't have the length. And honestly, I don't see the technique. I see more of a mix between Darrelle Revis and Patrick Peterson. That's just me personally, which again are phenomenal because I think his technique is sound, but I think he's extremely athletic. Like Patrick Peterson, he could lack in technique because of what he does on the athleticism and so that's just my personal opinion. I'm going to bring in somebody into the draft into the stream here to see what he feels about Sauce. What do you feel about Sauce Gardner? And say what's up to the people, Deontay.
Yeah. Can y'all see me?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Okay, because it's not showing up on my screen, but whatever. Sauce. I don't like cocky corners, especially when they're young. They will come into the NFL and get embarrassed real quick. I don't like them with the chains and the diamonds and the grill and all that stuff. I don't like it, especially when you played at Cincinnati. You didn't play nobody. So I don't want to hear it. I want to see production first.
Prime was cocky.
Prime was Prime, though. Prime played at Florida State. when they were playing for national championships, playing against Miami every year, Prime had the right to be Prime.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Sauce is not Prime.
You're right.
He's not nearly as fast, not nearly as talented.
They did get to the playoffs, though.
He's not nearly as fast, not nearly as talented. He didn't give up touchdowns because they could just bomb the boy on the other side of the field. He gave up a lot of touchdowns.
It's like Kobe Bryant, right?
Is that his name?
Yeah, that's his name. The other guy.
Yeah, I don't like that name. I don't like that being his name. I want guys to tone it down. I want them to tone it down. Just tone it down.
All right,
but other than that, I do think he's a good football player. He's just too cocky.
Got you. All right, well.
But he is in the right division to be a cocky corner until he has to play the Dolphins.
Oh,
yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Lied. I just lied. He's got a rude awakening coming to him. He got to play the Dolphins. He got to play the Bills.
And Stephon Diggs and Devontae Parker all in the division.
That's why I'm like he's going to have Waddle. He's going to have a ton of chances to prove himself.
Justin Gabriel. Ooh.
He's going to have a ton of chances to prove himself.
I was excited for this draft. I still am, but I am very nervous about this division. For me, I just want maybe 7 to 8 wins out of this team. I think that's manageable. I just want to see progress. Damn it!
Don't get me wrong. I think the Jets had a great draft. I just want Sauce to tone it down a little bit. I can't hate on swag. I can't hate on it. He just plays a position where you can get shut up real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to come in humble, confident, humble.
Absolutely. I think the confidence and the cockiness is
that's an earned trait.
I think it's part of his game, but I think he is one of those guys who's like, nah, I'm willing to work for everything I get. So it'll be very, very different. Very, very, very interesting to see. Now,
his real name's not Sauce. It's odd.
Not Sauce.
It's but now we're gonna move on. By all means.
You and this Kyle Hamilton boy is getting on my nerves.
I don't care. I don't care.
Getting on my nerves.
I don't care.
As a Ravens fan,
that was a great
film, he does not fit what we do. Now, if we're getting him to change what we do, fine. I think the boy should gain some weight and go play linebacker, but leave me alone. But listen, I'm very mad about the Ravens draft. I think we got a lot of good players. We did not get the right positions. We did not need a big, tall safety. We didn't need him. We need speed at cornerback. Marlon is slow. Marcus Peters is slow. They are all slow.
But what was Ozzy's philosophy? That has been phenomenal philosophy the entire time drafting.
No. Listen.
Okay.
Listen. Ozzy's philosophy worked when we had Hall of Famers already on the field.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have those anymore. Who?
Marlon might got potential, man.
Yo, Marlon is going to be great when he switches to safety. When Marlon moves to safety, he'll be great. He is a slow corner, very slow. He gets beat deep about 9 times a game. They just don't throw.
He's good at forced fumbles, but he's
why he's a safety. Yeah. He is very physical. He is slow. He's a safety. I love him. He needs to be on the field. He's a safety. Okay. Because I feel like let me respond to that comment real fast. I feel like I'm one of the only Ravens fans who really knows football. That's not a shot at everybody, but I really, 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 really scheme all that. I'm looking at it. Our corners are slow. And if you got Kyle Hamilton to come play deep roaming safety, what's his name? Marcus Williams, Mike Williams. What's the first name?
Yeah, Marcus Williams, and I believe
Marcus Williams.
I believe he's going to be free. I believe Kyle's going to be strong.
So he gonna come take Chuck Clark's spot. So he's gonna come down and play man all the time because that's what we do. Y'all gonna put Kyle Hamilton in man-to-man coverage? He has
I honestly think y'all are going to switch the scheme, kind of like you said, and go to that cover 3 Seahawks situation.
If we go cover 3, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
It doesn't make sense.
I think honestly that's what's going to happen. I think you guys have been trying to go there for a while, hence bringing in people like Earl Thomas and different things. But I think you guys have been trying to do that for a while. I think now
when we got Earl, we made him play the slot.
Yeah, I'm just well.
Yeah, he didn't like that. That's why
they recognize because they recognize. Oh, Erden lost a step or two. That's why I think now it's like, okay, we got Marcus. He's got the burners. We've got Kyle. He can bang and he can cover. I think that's what they're trying to morph into.
Yeah, I will say my favorite move by the Ravens was probably one of the more underrated ones was like drafting the center Tyler Lindenbaum.
Great pick.
Honestly, great pick. Like I watched a lot of his videos when he was in Iowa. I love offensive line videos, especially, and he is just phenomenal. And Iowa's been producing great big men into the NFL. So I feel like it gives the Ravens back that like a more that dominant rushing style that they've been known for the last 2 to 3 seasons. I will say the loss of Marquise Brown, don't care. Like I wasn't really too beat up about it. I kind of understood why they traded him. I'm just saying, like, what does that mean that Lamar will still be used primarily as the rush danger option, or are they ever able going to develop that passing game?
We got guys, bro.
I think they go get Odell.
I want Jarvis. I don't want Odell. I want Jarvis. If we get Odell, hey, great. Hey, great. But yo,
I think I saw on Instagram that like.
No, we can end. We actually got to end pretty soon. So
all right, well, I gotta say something about that passing game. Devin Duvernay is a dog. Okay, Devin Duvernay.
I like him. I like him.
Rashad Bateman is a dog as well.
That is true.
Yeah, and we keep drafting tight ends for some reason. So we already got Mark Andrews. He is the best in the league. I said what I said.
And who'd you add at running back? I forgot.
I don't know. I don't care. We got JK. He coming back.
JK and Gus. I was say JK and Gus coming back.
JK and Gus coming back. You don't even matter.
Plus.
Like the Ravens we used the draft pick to draft the guy who just tore his Achilles. And I understand why we did it. It worked out for the Cowboys when they drafted Jalen Smith.
Yeah,
but come on,
where he is now.
Oh, come on, yo, corner.
Well,
draft picks. We drafted 2 corners in the 4th round. I'm tight about it, bro.
Listen, next week we're going to continue this conversation. Okay, next week we're going to continue the conversation, but we do have to wrap it up. We don't want to go too far over our time. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in on the Air It Out podcast. We truly, truly appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on all your social media platforms. Instagram at Inside the Hashes, Facebook, Inside the Hashes, Twitter, Inside Hashes. Also go on YouTube, right? Once you go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button and then turn on the notification button so you know when we go live so you can get your comments posted in just like this. I'm just going to, leave that there. So yes, like I said, please go to YouTube, hit the notification button so you can get that stuff in there. And don't forget to check out the website, www.insidethehashes.com, where you can find all your content, blogs, gaming, interviews, podcasts, all of it. We are the apex of football. This is the Air It Out podcast, presented to you by Inside the Hashes. And that is Deontay. That is the one and only. My name is Avery Collins. And shout out again to the CEO. Oh, look at that. And shout out to my pop. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Shout out to our CEO who was in the comments and everybody who was in the comments. Chris, all of you. Truly, truly appreciate it. Listen, we're going to end the show, but I do need to talk about one thing.
He's not even on the team anymore, Avery. Come on.
But I know he's not on the team. But if Matt Ryan would stop petting the football,
honestly,
all I'm saying is if he stops petting the football,
ridiculous that you're bringing up every single time.